Meeting to order, if you rise. Rican,
Here's a flag.
I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, read my little spiel here again, huh?
Please do.
We're gonna-
Hold on.
Thank you all for coming this evening. Due to the current federal and state emergency declaration, the Minnesota directive to residents to stay at home and guidance about limiting person-to-person contact due to the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting of the Houston Public School is being conducted in accordance with Minnesota statute 13D.021, meeting by telephone or other electronic means. Due to the health pandemic, the school board determined that it may not be feasible for at least one board member, superintendent, or a school direct legal counselor to be physically present at the regular meeting location, and that it is not feasible for public to attend this meeting at the regular meeting location due to the health pandemic. Persons may monitor this meeting from the remote location by accessing the live stream of the meeting at www.houston.k12.m.us. Board meeting YouTube live stream. School board members are reminded to mute their microphone or phone when they are not speaking. School board members wishing to speak unmute their device and ask to be recognized, then wait to be recognized by the chair. The chair will determine the order in which board members wishing to speak will be recognized. When recognized, the board members should unmute the microphone, speak, and then mute their device. All votes will be conducted by roll call. Each school board member should wait until their name is called before voting. Persons monitoring this meeting from a remote location may submit a comment by messaging the feedback form on the district website prior to the meeting. This meeting is being recorded. Access to the recording will be made available on the school district website as soon as possible, feasibly possible.
Do you want to talk about attendance?
Oh, one other thing I want to mention, since we are tracking attendance and we gotta keep on who's here, who's not here. I just want to remind, if you're get up to go do something, it makes it a little hard for Ann to control what's going on. So if you have to get up for whatever reason, can you let us know so we can stop the meeting, and then we'll wait until you get back. Being being recorded, I don't feel like it looks very professional if somebody gets up and wanders off for a couple minutes and then comes back. It's just as if we were having a meeting here, so just conduct the same way. So, anybody have any questions on that? Okay. So do we have a motion to approve the agenda? Jean made a motion. Do I have a second? Do we have a second?
I second.
Oh, Pete? Okay. All in favor, roll call vote. Pete?
Aye.
Ron? Michaeline? Mimi? Jean? Josh? Okay. Opposed? Okay. Public comment, did we get anything sent in?
No, we didn't get anything sent in, and I started getting worried that maybe the link didn't work, so I sent myself a comment asking if it worked, and I got the email with the question, does this work? So yes, it does.
Okay, we just want to remind anybody that's listening that if they do have questions or concerns, please do utilize the comment option on our page, on our website. So, consent items. Do I have a motion to approve the consent items? Is that you, Jean? Okay, Jean, do I have a second?
Josh.
Josh, okay, thank you, Josh. Discussion? Go ahead, Dean, what's your question?
The Q count budget is totally separate, and so it comes out of the, it comes out of all that Q count budget, and we get the money allocated to Q count according to the pupil count on October 1. So the proportional share goes to MNVA that is proportional to the number of students they have October 1.
Any other comments? Any other comments?
Do we need to address, sending a letter to Deb Sobek for retiring? Or is that automatically taken care of?
Michaeline generally does it, bless her heart.
I don't know if you heard that because Pete isn't on his computer. He wondered about doing the resolution on the retirement for Deb Sobek. And that's usually at the board meeting after this.
Any other comments at this time? Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Roll call vote. Pete?
Aye.
Ron? Michaeline? Mimi?
It's gotta be loud enough so it picks it up.
Jean? Josh? Thank you. Discussion items. Discussion items. Resolution on the retirement of Susan Parker. Michaeline?
Yeah, Michaeline?
I'm sorry, I was waiting for one of the printed introduce it.
Oh, sorry if you couldn't hear me.
I think the whole board, not just me, we always wish to thank people who have given years of service and are retiring from teaching, public school teaching, or service to the school district. With the help of elementary principal and some elementary staff, I was able to invite and receive some nice comments. So they're not my words, they're the words of coworkers for Susan Parker on her retirement. So I would then, I guess, like to introduce the resolution. I know this is the discussion item, but have we usually done this like this, and we've taken action on it, or is this something that we just introduce and then we'll act on next meeting a little bit fast? Put it in the wrong spot.
Oh, it might be in the wrong spot. We can, to be honest, I didn't really look at where this was because it came in later. So, if you want to, we can move it to new business tonight and then act on it.
I think it's just a formality. I'm just,
I agree.
usually as the chair or friend introduce these things, so I don't know why I feel like I'm out of my element since we're not all in the same room. I'm happy to read through the resolution. We can act on it now, or we can do it later. What do you want to do, Tom?
I say, let's just do it right now, Michaeline, we're in the middle of it.
So, I will read the resolution, for those who don't have access to it. It's a resolution on the retirement of Suzanne Parker. Whereas the Houston School Board received and accepted the notice of retirement of Ms. Suzanne Parker on June 4th, 2020. After serving as a caring special education teacher within Houston Elementary School since September 8th, 2000, and whereas Susie was even-tempered and calm and operated with a great deal of care and understanding of her students, and tirelessly, ensuring her time with students was focused on the whole child and on each as an individual. And whereas Susie would receive new children's books with anticipation and joy, enthusiastically working to put new authors and titles and books in the hands of her students. And whereas her colleagues remember her as approaching teaching with dedication, determination, and quiet compassion, and as one who wished to pass on her joy of reading for the power and meaning of words to her students by generously offering a gift of a dictionary and bookmark as they prepared for transition to high school and 7th grade. Therefore, be it resolved that the Houston School Board thanks Suzanne Parker for her loyal, dedicated service to Houston Public Schools and wishes her all the very best in her retirement.
Nice job. Okay, so moving right along, we have COVID-19.
Oh, no, she would like, it's
Oh,
second as a vote, so we need a second.
What'd you say?
We need a second, because Michaeline introduced it, so now we need a second.
Okay, do we have a second? Okay, Jean? Further discussion? Sure, we all would like to thank Susie for our dedication work to the school.
Yeah, she has been an absolute joy, and it was, I got to teach her how to run a Zoom meeting, and she absolutely embraced that.
How many years, Craig?
Susie's been here for 20, almost 20, should have 20 years.
20 years, yeah.
Okay, so motion and a second. Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor, Pete?
Aye.
Ron? Michaeline? Mimi? Jean? Josh? Okay, thank you guys. Now we have the COVID-19 update.
Okay, today, as most of you might have heard, they released the guidance for reentry in the fall. So, looking at that, there are some very good pieces of information for us. One is that on buses, half capacity is considered to be okay. So it's allowing for a little more than what they originally came out with. So that means that on our buses, most of which are 71 passenger, we can put 35 students. And so that's, most of our bus routes should be all right with that. We'll be looking into that now, not tomorrow, but Monday, we'll start doing that. The other thing is, as far as scenario 1 and scenario 2, scenario 1 is everybody back in the school. Scenario 2 is the hybrid model. With the hybrid model, they said either 50% capacity or strict social distancing of 6 feet. We're working it out. We're very fortunate that we've got a student, a college student doing his internship, and he's working out all the patterns within the classroom to maximize the occupancy within that classroom and still adhering to that 6 foot physical distancing. And so he's researched the patterns and the triangle pattern that actually maximizes the number of people we can put in each classroom. So he's doing classroom configurations with that, and it looks like we can do kind of a blend of the everybody back at school and the hybrid model, and it looks good that if the state allows us to be back, we can do it with all the students here. There are still some things we need to work out with the high school, but the transportation thing was huge. I did a little happy dance about that today. Also, looking at some other things as far as the screening, we will have to do, we can do, according to the Department of Health, some parent training. so that they know how to screen their students. So if the parents get the training, they'll screen their students and it's just a temperature check, so that the students can get on the bus and we don't have to have a temperature check with every bus driver. We do have the thermal scan thermometers, one in each building. And we'll have to make markings on the floor for lunch. One thing that is different is that there will be no self-serve for lunches. The food will have to be put on the plates for them and handed to them. And as they stand in line, they'll have to stand 6 feet apart. But Robin was already thinking that that was coming from what she had heard from the Department of Health. So she's already in that mindset of looking into the future to plan for that. We will need a COVID POC that's not the school nurse, and it's somebody that works as the communications person. And it just, we'll, as a committee, talk about that as well. The committee really worked on creating a survey, and the survey went out today. And within 5 minutes, we had 16 responses. So I am sure that we're just continuing to get responses. The timeline was by June 28th, no time limit during the day. So 9 o'clock on the 29th, I'm going to download all the results and hand them to Noah Carlson, our intern, and say, have at it, start analyzing the data, and start really looking at the number of students that we have that don't feel safe coming back into the building, and those students that have some other concerns or those that don't have concerns. So we're basically putting them into those 3 types of buckets, so to speak. The other thing that this board needs to be aware of with the guidance, the Department of Ed guidance came right out and said if parents are not comfortable sending their children back to a physical building, they should look at some of the approved online curriculum providers in the state of Minnesota, and they gave a link to the online providers. And so we're waiting to see if that makes our enrollment at MNBA increase from other areas where it's more difficult for them to do the hybrid model. Mimi, question?
I have 3 questions. So the first one is with the hybrid model, just to recap what you said, I think, and I want to make sure I understand. Because our school is of a certain size and our students are less, the hybrid model, because we're less than 50% capacity, we don't have to keep half the kids home. So the hybrid model is really no different than the at-school model just because of the nature of home. Is that correct?
That's correct, and also with scenario 1, that back to school model, it's not, it doesn't look like there has to be a strict adherence to that 6-foot physical distancing at all times. But with the hybrid model, we have to have a strict adherence to the 6-foot physical distancing. And so that's a difference between the two, where that might be the only change as far as for hybrid. The desks have to be wherever we put the little pieces of tape saying this is where the desks have to be.
I think that's great news, right?
Oh.
We don't have to plan all this every other, I think that's wonderful. Okay, so number 2, when you talked about the parents doing the temperature checks of the kids, and I know we've talked about budget before, and maybe we could ask for donations too, but are we going to be providing thermometers? I know just a simple forehead thermometer, I don't know, $10, $20, I don't know how much they are, but are we going to be providing those to free and reduced families or a certain subset? we can have a plan around that. If we're really depending on the parents doing it, we wanna make sure they have the right tools.
And I just started digging in this afternoon, because we had interviews today, very good interviews for principal. But that's something that the committee, the planning committee, will need to start discussing, because the next thing on the agenda is the CARES COVID funding and the 3 sources, and as this committee found out, and we'll get into that, we have a lot of needs, and it doesn't all fit in the budget. So we have to figure out, okay, what do we really need, and then what do we want? And there are a lot of needs. We have a lot of needs for this, it's absolutely true. But that's,
Okay, yep, and then one last thing, and then I'll let everyone else go. So you were talking about MNBA, and we were all kind of waiting to see, and so they're directing people to online programs within the state. Are we gonna have an online school committee meeting? I'm just thinking, for instance, in our elementary and junior high, we only are full-time, correct? We're not part-time. Is there some changes? I mean, I'm sure there's pros and cons to trying to do some part-time to help with some of these increased enrollment. If somebody wants to do half-time, maybe just math and reading or something, just the effects to the online school, and how to plan for this.
and that's, right now, Angela and I talked about it today, and because schools are not really going to be told which of the scenarios, scenario 1, which is the most open, scenario 2 is hybrid, scenario 3, the state will tell us once again we have to start with distance learning. We're not going to know which scenario we have to use until August 1st. And so as Angela and I were talking, we both agree that the enrollment at MNVA is probably going to, if it blossoms, it will blossom after that August 1st decree from the state, and then see how schools react to that. And
What
that's,
about the part-time options?
the part-time options for
Grade
K
school,
through
yeah.
8.
Right.
It's just the way the curriculum is set up in MNVA. The K through 8 curriculum is,
It can't be done, is what you're saying?
oh no, it could be. It's just more difficult for a kid to pop in and pop out. And so it's not one that I'd like to open up as far as having the cohorts, having mid-year cohorts with supplemental for K through 8, and we'd have to change our application at the State Department. And I'll call Jeff Plowman tomorrow to see what we need to do to change that application to have supplemental K through 8. But it would also mean that knowing that curriculum, the supplemental would be, you enroll at the beginning of the year, we can't take mid-year enrollments for the supplemental, because it's just, the supplemental would be the one class. And when we're taking the cohorts for the K through 8, the curriculum is such that it's a lot of work for teachers to do that mid-year enrollment. I don't wanna put the supplemental on them too. Questions on that? It's just, I know the OLS at K8 is not as teacher-friendly as D2L in the high school. But yeah, it's something we need to look at.
So when's our next online school board meeting? Do we have one scheduled?
The online school, I think we have it scheduled for the first meeting in August, if I remember correctly. And so that would align
probably
nicely.
work out.
If we have that first meeting in August, and so we can start seeing what's happening with enrollments and what's been planned. As far as the supplemental for K through 8, I'll find out, and if that's something we want to change,
Then we can have a pre-meeting.
we can have a pre-meeting, and we can discuss that in July at our next board meeting. Michaeline, you had your hand up?
Just a
parents, so it was the emails that we have, so that just went to parents. It has not gone to students, but that's, yeah, yes?
So is there a similar survey or questionnaire that's going to the staff to find out things like our on-site staff who is in a potentially high-risk situation where they are either not safe or don't feel safe being present in the building, just to, I don't know. I've heard that in a couple of meetings I've been in. One was with NSBA, the National School Boards Association meeting today. So being aware of that through some surveys, because they might have employees who have pre-existing conditions and are just at risk. Bus drivers perhaps, parents, whatever. So, I mean, I think wondering what they're thinking, I know that we can require them to work or not, but it might be nice to know what they're thinking.
And we've got a representative from each of those groups on the planning committee, and so, like the bus driver who's on the committee, is there and knows that he needs to talk to the other bus drivers about the plans that he's hearing. And as far as the, paras that are on that committee, it's the para that's on the committee is actually the shop steward, so the kind of the union president here. And so she's taking things back to her group and has that communication with them to get their ideas and get feedback as far as if anybody's having issues, and the staff all know. I've had one come and talk to me about if things start getting bad, is it possible for her to do telepractice? And she's in a job where that might be possible, and so we're dealing with this on an individual basis.
Okay, that's great. Respectfully, people's private health data, they might not want to share even with a coworker who's a representative or a liaison. So hopefully they can be put in touch with you or the principal or somebody that they can speak directly to, where that information is between their supervisor and not their colleagues.
And that's the reason that the one teacher came and talked to me is because we'd already put out there, if anybody has any issues, concerns with working with students in the time of COVID, please let us know so we can look at what can be, what we can arrange, what we can work around.
And hopefully
Yeah, Mimi?
Yeah, with the online school committee, I'm wondering maybe if we could meet before then just to kind of talk about stuff, because I have a lot of thoughts and I'm not sure if, I'd like to just make sure I'm on the same page with Angela about, is it a good idea to open it up to part-time, and if that's something we want to do, we really want to do it before August 1st, and what are we doing for marketing, and how are we going to deal with a ton more kids part-time? I mean, just, I have a lot of questions, and I just want to, I think it'd be worth it to have a discussion sooner than later about some of that stuff. I'd love to come into the school event, Tom. I don't know if we're open to having 6-foot distance committee things again.
well, we were gonna,
It would just be nice to kind of prep. I feel like waiting till August, it might just be too late to make it different. We're kind of behind everything at that point.
And that kind of brings up another, because things are opening up, at least for Houston County, we can start looking at if the board is, if other board members want to come in, and we have, I could still have this up, so we have the 1 or 2 on Zoom, and then we can do something where we can have more of us on site, and we can start having those committee meetings. And if we have a committee meeting, we can have the committee meeting in the gym, so it's not televised, but it would allow for social distancing, so if we had any type of audience that wanted to come there, because all committee meetings are open meetings, and so we could have the personal distancing that we need to have, but, right now the board has said that we're doing the Zoom virtual meetings, and so, I'd like to go back to, actually having people together again, when you guys are comfortable on that. I think there are some things that go better when we're actually face to face. Online is great for a lot of things. There are just some things where it works better if you're physically here. So that's, what are your thoughts? Committee meetings, yes. School board meetings, not yet. Committee meetings, not yet. Where are people living on that decision? Or do you not feel comfortable saying that in a public meeting? Okay, Tom,
She's kept on talking, so.
go ahead.
Yeah, Fran and I had talked about this, last week or something, to bring it up tonight, get everybody's opinion on it. Like maybe you had mentioned, I mean, I'm not opposed to coming in and having committee meetings. And again, if someone is part of that committee and does not want to come into the school, we can Zoom them in and have it done that way. Whatever works for everybody. We have to be flexible, obviously, during this time. So Mimi, if you want to have a pre-online meeting, we can get with Angela maybe in July or sometime when we, obviously not this week, but when we get maybe a little more guidance, and you have time to make some calls to MNVA and set up a time, and Angela and Ann can send out an invite to see what works. I'm not opposed to coming in. Who else on that? Jean is on the online?
Mm-hmm.
Jean, what are your thoughts? I mean, would you be willing to come in, or, I mean, I'm not forcing you, you could do it on a Zoom. What do you say?
We're here.
What do you say?
So are you saying you would not be comfortable with coming in July, or you would be in July?
You say you would be?
Would.
Okay. Why don't you go around and ask everybody, I can unmute and do the same, but.
Okay, level of comfort with coming in for a board meeting, Michaeline, in July?
Typically, that's yes. I'm okay with, but I think just call the meeting, and if you're offering to set them up with those who are not comfortable being here in person, if they can Zoom in.
Okay. Ron?
Fine with me.
Amy's good, she said, right?
Josh?
I'm fine with coming in.
So, for our July meeting, we'll, if any of you change your mind, Zooming is always an option. We're still in, the middle of a pandemic, even though, things are starting to open up. If you want to change your mind to get Zoomed in, we'll leave the screen and we'll make sure that people are socially distanced here. If we do get an audience, I'll have chairs set up with personal distancing, and if we get more of an audience, we can have them, we can have the door open and have them in the hallway and have them socially distanced there as well, so that, because in figuring out how many people we can have in this room, we can actually fit enough people in here with the 6 foot social distancing where we can adhere to open meeting law. Mimi?
you're talking about the meetings, but are we going to have the committee? I feel strongly that I think our committees function better if they're not part of the board meeting, if we go back to committees. Is the group deciding that we're having our committees outside the board meetings again?
I would, that would make for better board meetings too.
Yeah, I feel like it, you know, it's just, it makes sense for online schools to talk about online schools with a smaller group and be able to brainstorm and talk about stuff
Can I
and,
interrupt you?
not have the whole board.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I think everybody's in agreement that they're comfortable coming in. So I would say after Corinne, for the online situation that you were asking about, Mimi, Corinne's gonna find out more information from MNBA, and hopefully by next week or so, we'll get a little more clearance on what they feel we'll be able to do. And then we can set up an online meeting. I think you're, spot on as far as committee meetings. I think they work better when we're all closer and we can discuss it, even though we're 6 feet apart or more. And it sounds like everybody's comfortable doing that, so we'll just change everything back to a normal meeting. Again, I wanna emphasize that if you're still don't feel comfortable, obviously if you're sick, don't come in, Zoom in, whatever, we wanna make sure that everybody's comfortable whatever happens, so. And if anybody is listening, if you do have comments or questions, same scenario. If you don't wanna come in, make sure you send in your questions or concerns. So,
And
starting July, we'll go to face-to-face.
great.
Do you have any other questions? Any other questions or comments? Okay, we'll move right on to, the COVID funding source.
Okay, with the funding sources, we have 3 different funding sources. The committee is really digging into these, and it's coming up with a lot of ideas. Gwen and I worked first, looking at the budget as far as what things we already had in the budget that could maybe go into each of these funding sources. I've got a brief synopsis of each of the 3. The gear funding is very, very specific. We can carry some of that over if we want to do summer school and hold some of it for summer school next year and keep the numbers at 1 to 6. Or we can use it for technology now. And we know that we need the new Chromebooks for the students because we have to, there are some Chromebooks that have reached end of life. With the ESSER funds, the EESER funds, there's the formula funds and then the grant funds. It's just a different application. And the grant funds, typically the way you see it is the gear fund, formula fund, grant fund. And the reason I changed that, the grant funds are in the same kind of areas that gear funds are in. But then it just allows for more spending there because we know that that's where we need money. And then the ESSER formula funds, those are any of those places where you typically see Title I spending. And the ESSER funds is all based on your Title I. In the committee, Todd did say, this is based on Title I, so it can only go to our Title I, the designated Title I school. It's designated district-wide. So even though Houston Elementary School is our Title I school, the title funds can be used in any of the schools. So that it opens it up, but once again, we have each of those 3 buckets, and it looks like $128,000 is so much money, but if you look at if the guidance came out where we would need to have N95 masks for all the employees, that's 1 mask a day for the 50 employees would be $35,000. So what the Department of Health guidance did come out today is that we should have cloth masks and provide cloth masks for the adults. And if we can't get the social distancing, And so one place where we might not be able to get social distancing is passing time in the hallway at the high school. So it might be that we need to have cloth masks for the high school students to pass in between classes. So that's something that we need to look at, and what the cost of that would be. It's just, I'm just happy that we don't have to buy N95s for everybody. They are talking about cloth masks for all students. The Department of Health before had said that small children should not wear masks. And that's not what this guidance says, but they should only wear masks when we can't, have the 6 foot physical distancing. And so if we can have that 6 foot physical distancing at all times for the elementary students, then we don't have to have an elementary student wear a mask. I don't want elementary students to have to wear masks. So that's my belief, but if somebody wants to wear a mask, I will not stop them from wearing a mask, but I will not force an elementary student to wear a mask. I can't force a small child to put a mask on, especially if it scares them. Questions on that?
Anybody have any questions, concerns? Oh, Michaeline?
Sharon, I attended a rather elongated webinar from an epidemiologist in Colorado, and some of the research that is coming out is that they're trying to figure out why it is that people under the age of 17, 18, how their immune system is different, that they are more resistant. So that's good news for schools. That's very good news for schools. It is still concerning for our adult staff and employees, and I don't know how to answer the question of if children immune systems are resistant to becoming infected, how likely are they to spread? And I just think the information is going to be changing a lot over the next couple months as that research continues to be until we, as we dig into that information. But it's looking like schools are going to be a safer place for kids to be, as we all want them to be. But they're not. The kids are not the only kids in the building. So there's that. So more to come.
Thanks, Michaeline.
I'll shut up, go ahead, Tom.
Okay, anything else on the funding sources? I know they're all working on it, and I'm sure they'll keep us up to date on what happened. Oh, Michaeline's got another question. Just a minute.
I have a question. I was thinking about this again. I don't have a life, so I do webinars. This was a National School Boards Association webinar today, and one thing they cautioned about in terms of budget projections for these one-time CARES funding was, as things are being moved around, that if we're using them for an exciting opportunity to support teachers or students, we need to be mindful of, once that one-time money is gone, how are we going to sustain that or maintain that and just build that in. And I know you know that. I'm just sharing information that was like kind of a, oh yeah, this, I'm not on. So anyway, that's it.
Okay.
And
Good.
the committee, I would love to say we're being innovative. Right now, we're just looking at how much do we need for cleaning products, and how does that the cleaning budget need to be beefed up? What do we need for protective? Because the guidance does say that for any of those students that need personal care assistance, we need to have PPE for them. And so how much do we budget for that? And so we are struggling to find enough money for the basics. So innovative is kind of out the window right now because of just the things we need. There's not enough money.
I didn't know if it was on providing technology things, and then we have to replace them, or we have to continue financially supporting them. So I get it completely what you're saying. We do need to take care of the
Yes,
Good
Yep.
points.
go ahead, Tom.
Okay, if there's no other questions or concerns, we can move on to Q-Comp evaluation. Good.
Okay, the evaluation is in your packet. You'll notice this one's a little different because, we already know that we're paying out 0 stipends for MCAs because MCAs were not given. The Q-Comp committee voted to take the dollar amount that was earmarked for MCA stipends and carry it over. So now this next year, for 2021, if a school makes their goal for the MCA, they get a double stipend. So instead of a $500, they'll get $1,000 stipend. It's just one time, and the committee approved that one time doubling up for that stipend. Once again, you'll note that the teachers all made their observations. 100% of them were at or above proficiency, and there was only I think 1 or 2 that didn't earn their goal. That's because the direction from the State Department, we had to, because the goals had to get changed mid-year, we were told to be very, very flexible with Q-Comp goals this year. Just so you know, I would love to say that 100% of our teachers are always reaching their goals with evaluations and observations, and 100% of our teachers, 100% of their time are doing exactly what they need to in the class. But as we're finding, as the mentors are digging into this, as the Q-Comp coaches are looking at it, they're wondering if our Q-Comp plan needs, if not tweaking, maybe even an overhaul. So they're looking at, is there a different way that we can write a plan change that really has more of a growth mindset, that's really more into continuous improvement, and setting it up in a way that teachers can really try to hit those goals that maybe are a little out of reach. Because right now we've got people setting goals so they know that they're gonna get the stipend. And so we wanna see if we can change things to really turn it into more of a growth mindset. So there's a group of teachers looking at it right now. And as next year progresses, we're hoping that by January they will have written what they think, and the committee will have been looking at it and approving it. And so Q-Comp, I'm foreseeing this as a plan change form will be submitted to the State Department probably in January or February of next year. Because I know every year it's like 100% are making this all the time, or 100% of your teachers always making their goals, and that's one of the things we're looking at. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, is there any questions on that? Okay, moving right along, we got lease agreement with the city.
Okay, what you have is the lease that, and I did talk through this lease with an attorney for MSBA, and there are, he felt that we were basically covered. He especially liked the insurance and the indemnity clause that we have in this. So he felt that as long as it was only outdoor activities, we would be fine. He really counseled against us renting out the interior of the facility to anyone yet. But outdoor, he thought this was fine.
Okay.
So it's, I just have this on here because, it just takes it doesn't take board action, but it's showing that we've got everything covered. Jean?
Porta potty.
They're in charge of the porta potty, and I'm going to be putting signs on the porta potty saying that these, portable facilities are not, rented nor maintained by Houston Public Schools as, a way to let people know that we are not taking any responsibility for them. And as far as the, I think she's going to be delivering, they're going to be delivering them, I don't know who they use for their porta potty contract, but it's going to be delivered, I think, either Friday or Saturday. Because I asked to have it delivered after the board meeting in case there were concerns or questions raised.
Pete, you have a question?
Yeah, a Centec, when they use it, do they use it or lease it? The inside facility?
A Centec, it's been an arrangement, they, just have a facility use form that they fill out, and so no, it's because they give us things.
Right, but
Yep.
are we covered insurance-wise then?
Yeah, their insurance,
Their insurance covers
Yep.
it? Okay,
their insurance covers it.
okay.
And, if we ever had, that after prom party here, they have to get an insurance policy to cover it too. Go ahead, Tom.
Any other questions, concerns on that? Okay, let's start about the strategic planning, technology goals.
Okay, this is a little bit of a tweak from the technology goal that, I gave you in a superintendent update. As a reminder, our district goals are really broad so that each individual site can write, building specific, goals underneath these broader goals. So, the technology goal by the fall of 2020, Houston Public Schools will work to improve all necessary components to allow students to be able to succeed with digital learning. And so it is a technology goal. Digital learning encompasses all of MNBA, and it does encompass both that, if we need more digital learning and to be able to flip to distance learning again. And that way we don't have semantics as far as, okay, is this an e-learning day? Is this a distance learning day? Is this an online day? And if we call it digital, it encompasses all of those, and then we don't have to worry about semantics. Questions, concerns about this goal, tweaks that you'd like to see to it? Mimi?
When it said by fall of 2020, I consider that to mean somebody's working on it over the summer so that it's ready to go before the first day of school. Is that really what's happening?
With the 3 plans, we have to look at equity, and that's why in the survey we've asked about internet. So we're, we are, the committee is working on parts of it, the administration's working on parts of it, Dependable Solutions is working on parts of it. That's why Dependable Solutions is working on changing over the emails for the elementary so that Schoology will work. That's all the stuff that's going into the summer.
I guess, is this a long-term strategic, if this is a strategic planning goal, I think it should be further out than the fall of 2020. And I understand people are working and prepping for the beginning of the fall, but, what does do we have a different technology goal that the teachers can align to? Because I know that, we're gonna be continuing to improve on this beyond the fall of 2020. I don't think we're gonna hit the ground perfect first day of school.
So how would you like it tweaked?
Is this the only goal for the whole next year?
You typically had one goal for the year, and then remember 2021 is when our strategic plan, went through 2021, so we're going to have to get the district advisory committee working on creating the next iteration of that 5-year strategic plan.
To me, this is more what needs to be done to get ready for school, and it's a goal, and I think we'll do the best that we can, but as far as being strategic, I think it needs to at least encompass the next year and what our goal is for the next year.
Okay, so what would you like tweaked with it, or would you like it just
Extended.
thrown out, or?
I don't know, I mean, I agree with I'll let other people talk too. I agree with the goal in that I think we want to, if I'm putting on just my Houston hat, not my MNBA hat, we want to be set up for digital learning as we need to, as necessary as part of the plan, but I don't think that's all. I think it's kind of a longer term that we want to do that for the whole year, right? Or however long we need to.
It's not gonna end in 2020, fall
So-
into 2020, it's just we are.
I'm just trying to figure out
Beginning of 2020.
what you're saying you want. So this is a start and then say, and by the end of the school year, to have a sentence at the end, and by the end of the 2021 school year, Houston Public Schools will achieve this, and then fill in the blank with what you feel that this is? Is that what you want? Would that make it?
I just feel like if I'm an elementary teacher, and I know this is our technology goal, let's say I'm not on the committee this year, I've got my summer off, I'm not, doing any of that, and I have a lot of work to do, yes, to prepare for the very beginning of school, but I think there needs to be a longer term goal that, they don't read this and say, oh, that one's done, cross off the list. I want them to have some sort of tech goal they can align and keep looking at over the year. I don't know how to word that. That's my 2 cents, but I think that if it's our strategic goal, it can't just be the fall of 2020, because that's only a few months away.
We kinda have to have it done by the fall of 2020.
We do have to have some things done and in place by the fall of 2020, but you're absolutely right. It is a continuous improvement model, and we need to keep building on it all year. So if, this isn't up for approvals, so if they're, for those that feel strongly that it needs to be reworded, please, send me
Who's on the technology committee?
the district tech, Mimi and Jean, and I think, is it Michaeline or Josh? I don't have this list with me.
And you remember it off the top of your head?
Who's the third? Is it Michaeline, is it you, or is it Josh?
I can't remember if it's me, but I can look. I know I was
Anne's looking.
involved in some conversations where we were starting to talk about technology and a technology goal, and that was, I think I was at that table, and Mimi was as well. And the discussion then was in February, so that's just before,
Have it hit the fan?
what hit the fan. So, I think we need to maybe go back to there, because I think we were talking, as Mimi is alluding to, something that would be broad-based for all of the teaching staff to be working on and working towards, and for the district to provide, and to consider whether that was gonna come with a budget line item or be something that was staff development or, so maybe we just need to toss this back to the district tech group to discuss further.
Mimi, Mike, and Jean.
With Amy,
Yeah, I
Mike,
also know that I'm thinking better about stuff. We had Schoology at our goal last time, right? And we had reported at one of the last board meetings about that. So are we as a group still all behind Schoology and want that implemented better? And that might be a good goal for us. Cause it sounds like it still needs quite a bit of work.
well, and the goal last time was about e-learning. And then, the high school had a goal for Schoology and the elementary school had a specific goal for Schoology, cause Schoology wasn't district-wide.
So we were going that way.
MNVU will not use Schoology.
No, not MNPA,
Okay.
I'm talking,
Yeah.
I'm talking brick and mortar.
Did we ever get a report back on the goal that we had last? I mean, did the high school and the elementary apply to what we anticipated with Schoology?
Well, as I know the elementary staff put things on Schoology, but then the email glitch, the kids couldn't get to it, so it didn't make any sense to have it there. It was like piling all of your food on an island and not giving the kids a boat, to get there. The high school, that all ran really well on Schoology because the Infinite Campus emails were set up differently for high school students than they were for elementary students. And there was the glitch.
But that's being.
And that's why Dependable is working on getting that all fixed this summer. Yeah, Michaeline?
So maybe,
So with this technology, the strategic goal needing to be district-wide, it isn't a stretch to change the goal to saying learning management system, and that opens it up to things that you were suggesting were possibly problematic or challenges for the elementary school compared to D2L. I mean, it's an opportunity for a conversation and for information to go to K-12 or whatever. I mean, a learning management system can be whatever learning management system is being used at whichever site.
So you want the goal to be about, learning management systems?
If we're gonna pick up from Schoology and it needs to be a district-wide goal, I think we should toss it to the district technology committee and continue the discussion. But, because I'm hearing what Mimi is saying, but then I'm hearing you saying, Corinne, that it needs to be a district-wide goal, and MND doesn't use Schoology, so then it doesn't apply, but it could apply. I mean, couldn't it, or couldn't it?
could apply, but we don't have.
Learning management system would apply, Schoology would not, because K-12 is not going to use
So we could
Schoology for
tweak
any
that.
one of their levels.
But we could make it where Schoology is part of our brick and mortar plan.
Mhm.
You know, and like she just said, it's, and they,
And so what I'm hearing is that we just, try to convene the district technology committee, except during the summer, it's really hard to convene that committee because it's mainly teachers. So I will see if any of the teachers are available this summer.
I mean, they can zoom in
Yep, see if they can zoom in.
and just send them what we're talking about and see what they come back on. Say, these are the things that we're throwing around. We wanna have it a technology goal, but, and this is what we got, digital learning.
And to remind you where this was coming from that, the strategic planning with the board and the administration and Gwen, is so those people who are, administrators and director level, that's the 4 main goals that we were talking about with that strategic plan. So that's why this one had not gone to the technology committee before, but if that's where you want it, that's fine.
So. You ready?
Yep.
Okay, so what I'm getting feedback is, what I'm getting when Corinne doesn't have a mic off. We're gonna set up a committee meeting for the technology group, Michaeline, Mimi, and Jean, to go over it, and anyone else that wants to add their input as far as what they feel needed. If we can get the teachers group or a few people's input from them this summer, we'll go with that.
And remember, that's not a board committee, that's a
No,
district.
I know, that's what I'm saying, we'll see what happens there. But again, if you have questions, concerns, comments on this, just send them in so we can add it, you know, brainstorm via text or email, I guess, for now, and see what we can come up with. And, you three can sit down and arm wrestle and work it out. My money's on Michaeline.
But once again, not a board committee.
I know. I'm just saying. Okay, so next is, any other comments, concerns? Otherwise, we're going right into facility committee on the 10-year plan. Plumbing and update on high school basketball court.
Okay.
I shut off.
Okay. Once again, we'll have this on for approval in July. It needs to be submitted by July 31st. Looking at this, 10-year plan has been updated. Many of the numbers came from UNESCO, and we're just pushing them forward as we are still paying for the different projects that we've done here. Just as a reminder, since 2015-16 until 2019, we've actually done about $6 million worth of improvements to our buildings. And we've done it without having to raise taxes. The long-term facility maintenance is a big part of the reason why. So you'll see that there are some numbers that just keep pushing out year after year as we're paying for the buildings that we have that are going to last another 100 years. You'll notice under the plumbing line at 381 on the, so it's finance code 381 plumbing. If you had last year's form out there, the plumbing line at first was 43,000 for the 2020-2021 school years, and then 43,000 for the 2 years after that. We finally got the quote today from Winona Controls, and it was actually about 30,000 less than what we were expecting, because as they got in and started looking at things, they realized that when we did the entire project at the elementary school in 2015, a lot of the girls' bathroom had already been done. So the girls' bathroom, we just need to do the upstairs bathroom, and so we can do that for 9,000. It's the boys' bathroom we'll have to do right now. They're going to use all existing holes so that we don't have to worry about anything with asbestos. They're going to be using a plastic product, so we don't have to worry about anything with water testing, and we don't have to worry about the cast iron type fittings. So that's all a benefit, and it's a cost savings, and it's actually going to be more consistent water for us. With all the lifts going in with the toilet, it'll be much better, but we can take the project for the boys' bathroom, and instead of 38,000, it's only going to be 21,000. So we'll start the demo in June and get half of that done in June, so it can be on this fiscal year, and then we'll do the installation in July, so that can be on the next fiscal year, so we're separating it over 2 fiscal years. And then we can do the girls' bathroom July of next year, and that will be in the following fiscal year. And so we can now do the project over 3 fiscal years, but actually get it done in about 13 months, which is fantastic. So that was good news too. And you'll notice that that's all reflected in the plumbing line. The zeros are for any thing greater than 100,000, and we don't have any large projects coming up. We have done them all, as far as long-term facility maintenance, what fits there. Questions? And I know I didn't get this up into the board packet until today, I apologize, but I was waiting to get the quote so we could get the plumbing quote in there. Questions? Concerns? And since this is a facility meeting, oh, you'll also notice that, with the revenue projection, we've got the revenue projection there, and, with the revenue projection, typically that's the one that we ratchet down. So you'll notice that it looks like in, 2022, we'll get this huge pile of money, but that's the one that in December, we'll have to turn that dial down and only take the money that we need, because we can only use long-term facility maintenance money for long-term facility maintenance anyway. So, with the facility committee members, and actually we're as a committee of a whole, so, I know that we've approved that plumbing project in the past, but I would also like consensus here that you are good to go with that plumbing project. So Tom, go ahead, consensus?
So do we have a consensus on the plumbing project?
No, I just need a thumbs up.
Does anybody have any concerns with the plumbing project? Everybody,
You're on mute, Tom.
no. Does anybody have any concerns with the plumbing project? We've talked about it on numerous times. Being it's coming in under budget, I'm happy with that. I'm sure everybody is. So, if everybody's good to go, we'll just press on it and get it done. Josh, you good, right? Okay. Anybody else have any comments on that part of it? We have the basketball thing is the only left, correct? Go ahead.
Okay, the other thing is the basketball court. When we get the go-ahead that people can be outside again, I would like the facility committee to approve, it's just the supplies, to update the backboards and to put the new coat on the asphalt. Dale's had people looking it over and evaluating it, and, paint could be donated, but estimated cost is $200. So what we're looking at is $1,665, for the whole,
1665.
$1,665.
Oh, there's $200 more.
Yep. And I would like, it would be good if we could get that one fixed up. But I already told Dale that the committee wouldn't consider it until,
We can be outside.
we can be outside and kids can be playing basketball again. Right now, we're still at the one person per hoop, and so we're not gonna fix it until we can have, more than one person at a basketball hoop, because I don't wanna be the basketball court police.
Well, we can do everything up except for pin hoops on.
Yep.
So we could do, have him start with
Yeah,
the,
let's get it done.
have him do the
Yep.
coating, have him do the asphalt, have him do everything but
The hoops.
And
Yep.
then, once we get the okay, then we can put the hoops on.
Yep.
So as far as my opinion for the facility committee, I don't, Pete, I'm sure you're
You're
on
still
board.
on mute, Tom. Here,
I was just telling Corinne that I think as far as this project, I'm sure the facility committee would approve getting this done, because of the minimal cost, but if they can get all the work done except for installing the basketball hoops, so that way we don't have to monitor it and worry about it, I'd as soon have him get started on any of that stuff he could knock out now, and then all we'll have to do is replace the hoops once we get the okay. Pete, you're good with that?
Yep.
Josh, are you?
For sure.
Okay, does anybody have any questions or concerns on that? I mean, to me, might as well get done what we can. Okay, so that was it for the facility, correct?
oh, Mike Lean has a
Oh,
question.
Mike Lean, you have a question? Just a minute.
Oh, sorry.
Asked to put on, or not to put on NOAA, but, with our, we've done a lot of mental research papers out that show a packed restaurant and only the 3 tables that were in the airflow area. 100% of the people got the virus and nobody else in the place did. So knowledge of airflow patterns is a facilities thing that might be worth thinking about.
When UNESCO, the whole thing about recommissioning the systems here and then having the systems there, the airflow was all part of that project, so that it's, yep, so they all are, every room is green as far as the correct amount of airflow in each room. We would have to have somebody come in and reevaluate each room now to do that, then a new airflow. I could have Noah look at what comes out of the Akita box, but that really doesn't talk about airflow, that talks about temperature and the amount of time the blower is on. So I'm not sure that would give you the information you want.
Okay, just throwing it out there. I noticed that some of the seniors commented on the temperature in some of the rooms for graduation, so I don't know what that has to do with anything, but it made me think about ventilation.
Okay. So, you there? Ready, Karen? Okay, moving right along, thank you. On that, old business, items for discussion and approval, we have a couple things we need to approve. One is the FY '21 proposed budget. You'll have a motion to approve. We have a motion to approve. Oh, Josh, seconded by Ron, thank you. So, we're gonna do roll call vote. Pete?
Aye.
Ron?
Oh,
Ron?
Aye.
Okay, sorry, Michaeline?
Come through?
Deb?
okay,
You wanna do both?
okay, Michaeline,
Aye.
Mimi?
Mimi,
Aye.
Jean, Josh,
Aye.
Okay.
I'm off again.
Okay,
You need to turn back on.
okay, now we have the resolution establishing dates for fulfilling affidavits for the candidacies.
Mhm.
Do we have a motion to approve that? Michaeline made a motion, Jean seconded.
Jean already seconded it.
Okay, all in favor, roll call vote. You gonna take a look at?
Okay. Michaeline,
Aye.
Ron,
Aye.
Mimi,
Aye.
Jean,
Aye.
Josh,
Aye.
Pete.
Aye.
Okay,
Glad this is done.
you're back.
Okay, I'm back. Policies for the first reading. We have policy 722, public data request. Take a look at it. We have a policy for second reading, health and safety. Is that what we're approving this evening?
Correct.
So do we have a motion to approve policy 807? Motion made by Michaeline. Do I have a second by Pete? Discussion? All in favor? Go ahead, Corinne.
Okay, Michaeline,
Aye.
Ron,
Aye.
Mimi,
Aye.
Jean,
Aye.
Josh,
Aye.
Pete.
Aye.
Okay. You're back.
Okay, I'm back. So, new business, items for discussion, approval. These two items need to be approved this evening. The MREA membership renewal. Do we have a motion to approve that? Michaeline, do I have a second?
Jean.
Mimi, or Jean, sorry. Okay, all in favor, roll call vote. I'm off. Yeah, TMREA.
MREA, if we did the 2-year, it's, it is we're starting with, MREA. So we've got Michaeline, were you moving for the 2-year renewal, or Michaeline was moving for the 2-year? So,
There we go.
and so who seconded that again?
I did.
Jean,
Jean did.
are you okay with the 2-year?
That's what I wanted to check.
So he was
Perfect.
teasing us here.
Okay, so everyone's clear that we're doing the 2-year? And Chuck Woolery. Okay, in favor, Michaeline?
Aye.
Yeah, aye.
Said,
Okay, Ron?
said aye.
Aye.
Mimi?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Josh?
Aye.
Pete?
Aye.
You're back.
Okay, so next is MSBA membership renewal. Do a motion to approve.
I so move.
Motion made by Pete, seconded by
Josh has a hand.
Josh. Thank you. Discussion. All in favor? You're on.
Okay, Michaeline?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Mimi?
Aye.
Jean?
Jesse Jean. Aye.
Josh?
Aye.
Pete?
Aye.
Motion carried. You're on.
Thank you. Announcement, important events. Anybody have any important events they wanna bring up?
Ron does.
Ron does.
Ron, what's your appointment event?
I didn't hear, is Tom voting on this thing? That, we're voting on?
No, I didn't. I did
Voted
not
on
have,
all
what?
of them. Am I voting on them?
Yeah,
what it
you
said?
probably should vote on all of them too.
Yes for everything?
I said aye. Nobody heard me.
Okay. And
Nobody
Tom,
asked.
Tom said that, no, I didn't ask him, but he was voting yes.
Good catch, Ron.
Okay, Ron, you have a question, obviously, you have a hand up.
Of course, it's, my neighbor over here, the basketball court. Nothing new on that, right?
Well, news on the basketball court, the new signs, 2 of the signs are going up, and, the rules are going to be put up. He's just going to round the corners, so there aren't any sharp edges. So the rules are going up and the time is going up. The new signs, they look so nice. He actually had a little extra material, and so he made a smaller sign, like the big sign that says the Owen Onsgaard Memorial Court, and he made a smaller one and gave it to Lisa and Odin. And I thought that was such a nice gesture, and I know Lisa and Odin really appreciated it too. It looks very good, but right now, until it opens up enough that we don't have to police one person on a basketball hoop, I don't see how we can open it up. That should, as Governor Walz talks about moving the dial, maybe that dial will move, and I keep watching, but right now, it's still, the guidelines is, the 1 per hoop. So until that changes, that's what I've been telling parents that have been asking to, until the guidelines allows for more than 1 person at a basketball hoop, we have to keep it locked.
Okay.
Summer rec is going to be using the tennis courts, but that's going to be 1 coach and 2 students, just tennis, no basketball.
Okay, that answered Ron's question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anything else? Sorry.
Oh, here. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, anything else on spring events? Okay, let's move on. We got committee, meetings and committee updates. Okay,
The planning committee, for back to school met on Tuesday, and, it's a group of 14 people. Not everyone could come the first day, but I've told people come as you are able. And we had some good discussion. Next time, we will be looking at more of the funding and looking at what we want to put in the applications. And we now have the guidance, so we can really start creating scenario 1, scenario 2, and then looking at the existing distance learning plan to see what needs to be tweaked there. Within 5 minutes of having the survey, as I said, we got 16 responses, and looking through the comments there, and it might be because it was hot on their mind. The majority of comments coming through was that distance learning was not as a sound educational experience as the parents wanted, and they did not feel that they could teach the material, and so they felt inadequate to actually help their children with the schooling, and they didn't feel that there was a lot of it that the children could get online by themselves. In fact, one comment was, they have to be back in school in the fall. And I get it, parents also work. So we will be digging through all of that. Michaeline?
Just to follow on that, again, something that an article I read was talking about what the school districts have, some of what we already know that have learners. I'm sharing this with people who don't already know this, but what they found as being something they needed to maybe think about putting in their curriculum going forward is about training for executive functioning for students, so that, because a large part of what I've heard from parents and from things I'm reading is that this disrupted schedule was, the biggest problem was having some idea of how to set it up and how to schedule your day and how to make it a new routine under these circumstances. And we almost need formal curriculum for everybody to follow, the parents and students.
With a survey that the planning group created, there was one question that as we were putting it together, we took it out because we wanted to wait with that one. We're going to, once we get the plans, we're going to have to survey parents again. And one of those questions that we took out that we're going to put in the second one is what training the parents feel that they need if we have to go back to distance learning at any time during the year. And so it was training on just organizing distance learning working space at home. And so we had that question written. We just wanted to, we decided that now was probably not the best time because we didn't even have the plan, so that we didn't want to confuse the parents and have them say, well, do I need this or not? And so we wanted to have more of the plans crafted, and then when we send the plan, send another survey saying, okay, now that you're looking at the plans, what can we do for you to help you if and when we have to go to one of these other scenarios? And so the committee is already looking at that, because we know that there are parents, we'd already heard that there were parents that didn't know how to find what they needed to find in Schoology, didn't know how to find, didn't even know their their Infinite Campus login. And so just some of those trainings would be good to do at any time, whether or not we have to have distance learning. So that is definitely something that the planning committee is looking at and willing to build. In fact, two of the teachers, when they saw the survey at first, just said, hey, where's that question? It was our favorite one. We've already thought about how we're going to do some of the trainings. So I know I've got people that are more than willing and able to provide some of that for the parents who want it and will need it.
Could we say that survey? I mean, some of us don't have kids in school, so I didn't get a parent email. I'm just wondering if, I'm curious as to what you were asking, or isn't that?
No, we can give you, instead of giving you the link to the survey, I can just take the Word document that Noah and I were working off of after we were tweaking and retweaking, and then I can send that out to you.
Okay.
All yours, Tom.
Okay, so I think we've already accomplished the superintendent feedback, thank you, agenda items, right? So all we need now is the, do I have a motion to adjourn? Anybody? Nobody wants to adjourn, nobody wants to hang out with us tonight. Perfect,
Okay.
oh, look at Mike, oh, Ron, second by Josh. Discussion. All in favor? As always, it's a pleasure, people. Go ahead.
Okay, Michaeline,
Aye.
Ron, Mimi,
Aye.
Jean,
Aye.
Josh, and Pete,
Aye.
Aye.
and Tom.
Aye.
Okay.
Hey, Josh, you have a question for you?